For those of
Mine
you joining us,
actually,
Joe is a nomad now.
mine actually slowed down for 2 weeks, but it's going to pick up again. Tomorrow I'll be in North Carolina through Sunday, and then I'm moving to the Texas-Arkansas border where I used to live. We're taking care of a friend's dog while they head to the coast of Oregon for a week to quarantine
So nice.
on the Pacific coast.
Life is so hard.
I know, doesn't it sound horrible? But it'll be great
Sounds
for
lovely.
me. They have a swimming pool. They have a pool.
That is awesome.
Yes,
That's really
especially
cool.
when it's hot and humid in Texas.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And then the week
Yes.
after that, we head for Cleveland for a week. And then the week after that, I think we were going to go to Santa Fe or Taos. But we have a couple of new opportunities that we're investigating. We're investigating where we're going to live. And I think we're going to stay closer to the East Coast. I've never been to Vermont, so I think we might go to like Burlington, Vermont.
I actually really like Vermont. I think it's a wonderful state and so many great things to do outdoors, both summer and winter. So I've spent a lot of great vacations skiing in Vermont. I like Stratton, Mount Snow, Killington, although a little more challenging. Great mountains.
Anytime that
Great mountains to ski at.
we like hiking and outdoor stuff, and nothing better to do during COVID time, right? Nothing better to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think we might do that in August. And then she has a possibility of a short-term job in Georgia, just to handle a few weekends for the job she does, or in Maine. So either way, in Vermont, we're a lot closer than we are in Santa Fe. So good morning,
another
Ron.
beautiful state. Maine is a beautiful state. When my son went to sleepaway camp way back in the old world, he was in Maine, and it was lovely.
Back when, remember when they used to have sleepaway camps? Wasn't that
I know.
quaint?
Remember that? Remember that?
When the
I
world
know.
was so different? Right. All right. We ready to make a podcast?
Yes.
So guys, yeah, Ron, we're going to be neighbors, possibly. Cheryl has an opportunity that I just told Bobby about that we're looking at maybe next week in Valdosta. So maybe I might move to Valdosta. It's now on we're down to 5 cities, but that expanded by 2 yesterday. I thought we were down to 3 cities, and now we're down to 5. So
You guys are wanted.
we are.
Everyone wants you to move to their city.
My wife is wanted. I just go along for the ride. I just go along. I'm like, yeah, okay, wherever Cheryl goes, I'll go too.
But that's great. You can do the podcast from anywhere.
I can, which has been
And
cool.
then you got to get your mom to move along.
This has worked out. Mom likes it. Mom likes going wherever. But it's been great. I mean, just setting up here in OG's office has been super easy. It's a little difficult. I've displaced him. This is the only room in his house where you can record, his office. There's the OG kids behind me. And anyway, Mrs. OG in the background. But yeah, he's working out at his dining room table because
You've kicked him out of his office, basically.
Yeah, because this is the only room you can really get away from the kids while they're home. It's a very open house. It's a nice size house, but it's very open. So this is the only place where we won't hear kids yelling at the Xbox or whatever.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
All right. Anyway, that's me. Valdosta looks pretty, Ron. I don't know anything about it. I know absolutely nothing about it. We started looking around yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, that looks great. So we'll see. All right. No matter where I live, though, Bobby, it looks like it's going to be a small town. It'll probably be a small town.
But you like that.
I do like that. It's good stuff.
Yeah. We're kind of our opposite people. I'm the urban person. You're the rural small town.
I could live in a city. I could easily live. You know, my favorite show.
But why would you? But now is not necessarily the best time to be living. No,
my favorite.
We are furnishing our balconies right now, literally. No, we are. There's flooring from Home Depot that I picked up yesterday. We did one and we're doing the other one. We have 2 balconies in our home that we've never used because we had, younger children in the past. That's happened. They get older. And now we feel they can handle the balconies. And so now we're actually putting down wood flooring on the balconies, like these tiles, outdoor tiles, and then all these hedge-like looking materials along the edges. So it looks really pretty. And, like some lawn chairs and stuff. So we got our own little New York City Upper East Side paradise here. It's a 2x2 balcony. You know what I mean? Yeah. It can fit 1 chair, but it does.
But it fits the chair. The chair fits.
Yes.
I used to like what was that show? You're probably not old enough, Bobby. What was the show with, what are you talking about, Willis? Remember that show where they lived in
Good Times.
Nope,
Good
nope,
Times.
not Good
It's not Good
Times.
Times?
Nope, it was the one
Oh,
with
Different Strokes. Different Strokes.
Different
I am
Strokes.
definitely old enough. Yes, Different Strokes.
Yeah, remember they lived in a penthouse apartment in Manhattan.
Yes.
That's
not what my apartment looks like.
If I could have a huge 2-story apartment, remember they had the whole balcony thing going on, and yeah.
This room, by the way, you're talking about being in a private room. My family is so wonderful. They know the drill at this point. They're all in their bedrooms. So I am in the kitchen, which is also the dining room, which is also the living room, because this is Manhattan. So this is like the open floor plan, but I just take over
the place.
There's nowhere else to go. My husband is at my desk in our bedroom working during the pandemic. So
boot Neil to the curb. There, like, hey Neil, you're in the bedroom. All right, we ready to do this? Let's make a show.
You rolling? Recording?
No. Do I
have
to record? Should I record?
We should record it. Let's record.
This is for.
I think that Ashley always appreciates when we actually roll record.
July 18th. This is Saturday, July 18th.
On this episode of Money with Friends, ignored stocks that may be poised to rebound. That and so much more. It is Saturday, July 18th. Welcome to the Money with Friends podcast. I am certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, host of the Financial Grown Up podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And coming from my mom's half-finished basement outside Dallas, Texas, where we record the Stacking Benjamin show, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy.
This is the Money News Show that includes commentary on recent headlines and stories with thought leaders from across the financial landscape. We break those stories down into what matters to you, our friends, and we leave you with a takeaway to make it your own.
Today's show is brought to you by NordPass. You get a 2-year plan on NordPass, and you're going to get a month free because you listen to the show, get rid of password stress forever, enjoy unlimited premium features. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. You'll not only save 50% with that 2-year plan, but you also get that free month. Head to nordpass.com/MWF for more. And, Bobby, your passwords are protected.
Yes, and it also can give you passwords that aren't so easy to crack. As our regular listeners know, I had a little incident where I was hacked and I learned my lesson. It was ugly.
Was your password 123?
It was not, but it was the same password, and my email was hacked, and then they also got into my Visa.
My password is Money with Friends Rocks. That's my password for everything. No.
Well, yeah, but okay.
but
I'm not going to go there, Joe.
USA Today has a new piece. Bobby brought this one to the table. Let's see what we're going to talk about today. Who's going to help us kick it off?
As you mentioned, this comes from USA Today by Adam Schell. These ignored stocks may be poised to rebound. Buying so-called value stocks at bargain basement prices has netted subpar returns for more than a decade. The big winners have been popular growth stocks like Alphabet, which is many people think of it as Google, Amazon, and Netflix that keep going up despite selling at much higher valuations. But don't count out the market's diamonds in the rough just yet. Wall Street fund managers and investment strategists say these ignored stocks could be poised to play catch up. Value investing is buying stocks that are trading at low valuations relative to earnings, book value, and sales. Buying stocks at lower prices is a good indicator that they'll deliver higher future returns than more expensive stocks, says Wes Krill, senior researcher and VP at Dimensional Fund Advisors. Quote, "This is one of the best times in history to buy value relative to growth," adds Dave Then, Chief Investment Officer at Copernic Global Investors. "You're really getting bargains on companies people don't like. Now is the time to take advantage." Value stocks he likes includes China Telecom, General Electric, which was once the most valuable company in the U.S., but has fallen on tough times, and natural gas company Range Resources. He says, quote, "A lot of value stocks selling at half of what they think they're worth," then says, if we're right, they will double. And I'm going to toss it to you, Joe.
Value stocks can sell at steep discounts for a variety of reasons. They can go on sale because of a short-term business hiccup, a public relations crisis, a CEO change, movements in interest rates, economic slowdowns, or overly pessimistic investors pricing them too low. Value sectors include financials, healthcare, industrials, and different types of consumer-facing companies. Part of the current appeal of beaten down value stocks is they're now cheaper compared to their growth counterparts than they've been in a very long time. Value stocks is measured by their price to book ratio. That means what the company would be worth if liquidated, are trading at their lowest valuations relative to growth in at least 20 years, according to Bank of America. Value is inexpensive, says Jill Carey-Hull, an equity strategist at B of A. The best time to buy value stocks during a recession, says Andrew Sliman, managing director and portfolio manager at Morgan Stanley Investment Management. Prices get so extraordinarily cheap in bad times that it creates a great buying opportunity. The big money's made when value stocks go from unusually cheap to more normal valuations. No one wants to buy industrials, energy stocks, airlines, or cruise ships during a recession, Sliman says, but that's when you make your biggest returns. You can have doubles and triples in many value stocks. Another sign of just how much value stocks, such as banks like JP Morgan, communications companies like Verizon, and healthcare plays like Johnson & Johnson have lagged growth, is by comparing performance. From the end of 2006 to the end of 2009, the latest period in which values fared worse than growth, the Vanguard Value Index Fund posted a return of 76% versus a 215% gain for the Vanguard Growth Index Fund. This year, through June 26th, despite a brief period of eye-popping returns for value after the recent market bottom, the value index is down 19 and the growth index is up 7.5. The piece goes on, Bobby, by the way, to talk about how as recessions give way to recovery and value gets so cheap that you just can't ignore it, that it becomes even better times to buy value. I like this discussion because I think that no matter what period we're in, you get some investors who go, well, here's the new normal. And I think that this piece, when you talk to these analysts who all are with big companies that have been around a long time, you realize there is no such thing as new normal. There's always this shifting, right? And I think it is, I don't know about you, but I think it is a good time to talk about value stocks because nobody's paying attention. And when nobody's paying attention, that's when it generally is a good time to buy.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of very accomplished investors have done is you buy something, obviously, when it's unpopular for the wrong reasons. If something's down for a fundamental reason because something actually happened with that company or that industry, to be fair, then that's a reason why it's lower. But sometimes it's lower just because the whole market's lower. And of course, you know, if you're in index funds, you think you're diversified, but you're not always diversified as in the way that you think you are. So it's always interesting to think about how you want to reallocate your portfolio. And I always remind people that doesn't mean you have to sell something necessarily. You could just think about where you put the new money that you're putting into your portfolio to balance it out. You don't necessarily have to take a capital gain or whatever it may be to rebalance your portfolio, but it is something to be looking at. I mean, I happen to own a very tiny amount of GE, believe it or not, Joe, from when I worked at CNBC, and it was owned by GE.
And for a while, you were flying high with that stock too. You were doing so well with that stock.
So I don't even remember, but it has not been a winner lately. Let's just say that. But I just have it because whatever program they gave their employees, I have GE stock. And so I kind of perked up when I heard that. I was like, oh, maybe we'll have a little comeback there. That'll be nice. They go through they have headlines here talking about the things that will trigger value stocks to go higher. These are things that have happened in the past. And they talk about the recession gives way to recovery. Well, it seems pretty clear we're in recession here. Although I don't think we've technically had 2 quarters of lower growth, of negative growth, but I think that the economy's not good.
We'll make it.
Yeah, we'll make it. But so, the question is, of course, timing the recovery, and you can't time it. So you kind of have to make a bet before the recovery. And that's always really hard to do, going to what you said before. They also talk about high flyers coming back to earth, just like the Nifty 50 large cap stocks nobody thought could ever go down in the late 1960s and early 70s, or the overlooked dot-com stocks that crashed in early 2000. A shift to value stocks can occur when growth stocks get too popular or too expensive. So that's another thing. And then, of course, value gets too cheap to ignore. And that's really, I think, the heart of what this article is focusing on.
The big thing that worries me about buying during this time is I think people think that any stock that down, Bobby, is a value stock. And if a stock goes down, stocks generally are down and lag for a reason. They're saying here that whole categories lag, which is a good sign, by the way. If a whole category is lagging, then that category is ripe for innovation. You'll see people come back. But if you have a single company down in a category, and nothing else is down in that category, there's a reason you want to find out why that company's down. This might not be a value, it might be a trap for you and for your money. In fact, there was another piece I thought about bringing to the table and did not, about JCPenney. Did you see during JCPenney's bankruptcy proceedings, a bunch of amateur investors got together and are petitioning the court to say, you need to think about shareholders here, and basically they did not understand how bankruptcy worked and that they were going to lose their butt. Ouch.
Yeah, you have to be very careful, especially like you may say, in some form, retail will come back, but a lot of retailers have real fundamental problems that they had before the coronavirus pandemic made it even worse. So some of them can regroup, but some of them will not. And so you have to be very careful.
There's another thing in this piece that always makes my radar go crazy. And that is when somebody says that it's an excellent time to invest in an area. Whenever I read in any piece like this, that it's an excellent time to invest, I look at who that person is and what they do, because often at CNBC or Fox Business or wherever, any of these business shows, you have somebody say, it's a great time to invest in gold. Well, guess what? They manage a gold mutual fund a lot of the time, Bobby.
They always do. Let me just tell you guys, I was the booker at CNBC. So I just mentioned I worked at CNBC. I was in charge of booking the guests, and I would literally have files of here are the top 10 gold fund managers that are allowed to go on television. And that's who I would call. So, and they would always, be
come on and say, hey,
I mean, look, but you have to know that. You have to know that. So, and I do want to say in this piece, there are some counter arguments. So for example, you have Tom Plum later in the piece, manager of Plum Balanced Fund, which I personally have not heard of, but that doesn't mean it's not big. He says there will be a time when value will outperform, but I don't think it's now. In my experience, being early is like being wrong. And then he goes on to explain low rates favor assets like growth stocks. And with the Federal Reserve hinting that its key interest rate will stay near zero through 2022, value will have a tough time at shining growth. So, what he's basically saying is, sure, you can put it in now, put your assets into value stocks now, because you can't time the market. So you want to get in before it's too late. But then again, you're going to lose all this time. And, so if you lose a year of not investing in something that is going to be more lucrative in theory, according to this gentleman, that is as good as being wrong, basically. If you're too early and your money's just sitting there, it's kind of like if you go to cash too early, it's, you're trying to time the market. Yeah, your money is, quote, safe and that it didn't go down, although we all know it does go down effectively. It's really a loss. So
that's the problem with trading individual stocks, is that trying to time that perfectly. I was looking this last week, lots of news, new earnings out from Delta Airlines, and obviously they had just a rotten quarter. Like any airline, they got destroyed. And there was a piece of me, Bobby, that said, okay, at some point, airlines are going to turn this around. And there's two things that you have to think about. Number one is, when is that going to happen? And then number two is which airline is going to survive? Because this particular piece went on to say that in October, they're going to run out of some of this government assistance money. At that time, we will be allowed to furlough some employees. They're also going to have to figure out how to fund operations after that. So once we hit October with this, it's going to be a whole new world for airlines. And Delta's CEO was even talking about it being 2 years until they see any type of new normal. So if that's the case, I feel like with airlines, I have a 2-year window to get in. I don't want to wait until things are okay, because then I waited too long and the easy money is going to be gone. However, man, there's this road through hell that airlines are going to be riding between now and then. And what time do you make that investment? Right. That's above our pay grade, but I think those are the kind of things that you think about. Ron hanging out with here on YouTube as we make the show. He says, Bobby, with all the crazy times that have happened in the last 4 months, all bets are off. Just sit tight and dollar cost average your paycheck for the win. Nice move. I think that's what the steady money should be doing right now, Bobby.
Yes. I think very well said.
Yeah. And then Bobby's examples of GE stocks are similar in the other direction. Kenny Rogers said it best: know when to hold and when to fold. We talked about that last week, about some of this advice from day traders. about selling your losers. When something's not going the right way, knowing when to sell it.
Yeah. It's okay to take profits. It's okay if that's the right move.
Coming up next, Bobby and I are going to have our takeaway from today's show. Today's show brought to you by NordPass. You will get a month free on NordPass if you use our link. But what is NordPass? It's effortless password management. In a world run by passwords, managing them can be a pain. Created by the experts behind NordVPN, NordPass uses powerful XChaCha20 encryption. Well, there you go. Zero-knowledge architecture to create a centralized vault for your most private information. NordPass gets rid of all the fuss around passwords. It autofills forms, remembers an unlimited number of passwords, and even generates complex ones for you that will be difficult for others to find out what they are. All it takes is a simple setup. NordPass takes over from there effortless. I personally didn't think, Bobby, that I needed a password manager. Then I started using NordPass, and I realized that even that I was using one hard to figure out password, but I was using it everywhere. So if you hacked me one place, you were hacking everything I had. With NordPass, they're making up a different one every place we go. And the better thing, and I was telling this to a friend yesterday, is that if something happens to either Cheryl or I, you can use NordPass on all your devices. So you can call it up from anywhere. We have a full list of all our accounts on NordPass, and we have a full list of all of the passwords. So it's not going to be difficult. Something that happens to me, not difficult for Cheryl to get into our stuff. She also has a list of, the prime places where we have any money or debt. I hope somebody does hack my debt and pay it off. That would be great. But she's got all that too. So for people that are managing their money with somebody else, having a password manager makes it a lot easier there too.
Very well said. And I won't fully repeat my stories of being hacked, but as you know, and our regular listeners know, I had the same password everywhere. It was not even that hard to figure out, obviously. And I was hacked, and I'm still cleaning up my email.
That's crazy. Money with Friends has a deal on NordPass, a 2-year plan and 1 month free. 2-year plan, by the way, means you're going to get a 50% off deal plus a free month on top of that just because you listen to our show. Head to NordPass, NORDPASS.com/MWF. All right, Bobby, what's our takeaway from today's piece?
So, Joe, I think the key line here is, quote, they can go on sale because of a short-term business hiccup, a public relations crisis, so on. So tread carefully, because sometimes companies are lower for a fundamental reason, and they may not recover, certainly not in a time frame that makes sense. Maybe consider this for a portion of your portfolio. Diversification is your friend. If you are expecting a turnaround, remember, you don't control the timeline. So most of all, be patient.
Yeah, I think patience is a good thing here, especially with when you're talking about different asset classes, value versus growth, not about individual companies, because I think it gets dangerous, Bobby, with individual companies. But we're talking about value and the fact that value hasn't done well. There's this concept called reversion to the mean, which really means no asset class historically has stayed hot forever. You always will have asset classes that are low, asset classes that are high, and then they'll all come back to normal. So looking at asset classes that are now out of favor as part of your mix is a fine way to make money. You look historically at people that have done that, they've done pretty well. The better thing to do, by the way, is to pick an asset mix that reaches your goal. Forget about which one's hot and which one's not, and just use that asset class mix. Believe it or not, Bobby, start with the end in mind. Might be the best way to go.
I think that's a great plan. Very well said, Joe.
Well, thank you.
Work backwards from your goals.
Just
very good advice.
Just trying to keep up with you. Tell me.
Same here.
How can people help us make the show?
First of all, you guys, we're on YouTube. We record this on YouTube. You can join us, as Ron did here today, with your questions and comments. We will put the schedule on our website, moneywithfriendspodcast.com, and you can look at the date and see if we're recording, and you can join us. You can also be part of our Instagram polls. Our handle there is @MoneyFriendsPod. That's also our handle on Twitter.
And we love suggestions for the show. People, somebody sent me a topic last week. Actually, we had 2 people send us topics last week. If you got stuff that you'd like to see us talk about, joe@stackingbenjamins.com and info.
We also have a we have team at moneywithfriendspodcast.com, Joe.
I always forget about
email.
Our new email.
It's new.
Team at Money with Friends Podcast.
Yes.
Deal. I wish we had one with more letters. We need to have more letters. All right. She's Bobby. I'm Joe. We are back on Monday
Hi.
with another piece. We're going to talk about these vaccine makers. Everybody's getting excited about a vaccine. Should you maybe invest in vaccine makers with your money? We'll talk about that on Monday. Have a great weekend. 18.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks,
all right,
Ron.
Ron and the other two people. Somebody stayed around for a little bit.
We didn't even put out anywhere that we were doing this show. We forgot to even have Ashley put anything on Instagram.
But I see somebody. We had 4 people at the beginning. Somebody stayed for a little bit. Probably just us chatting at the beginning. Gave us a big thumbs down, and they're gone. So if you don't mind countering that with a thumb up, people, that would be
that'd be great. Yeah, we're gonna get Joe and I are both in motion right now. Well, I've now settled back into my actual apartment, my actual home. I'm back in the kitchen, but Joe's mobile, so things that we have not always been able to announce always in advance when we're going to tape exactly. So
speaking of that, I
don't know if this is on the calendar today.
We're going to do one more here, but in 40 minutes, Lindsay Goldberg and I are going to be over on Facebook for my last time on Facebook.
Yes. Yeah. Lindsay has some news she may want to share.
She does have some news, some good news, some great news.
She has some great news.
Yes. So. All right. We will be right back. Just hang out here for a second. You'll see us go live here in maybe